All right, so I came across this really tragic story of a real life example of how businesses are getting desperate. And Michelle shared this with me as she was scrolling through her Facebook and she came across a local business. Now she follows this business's page because she wants to keep up with their inventory so that if anything shows up that would be of interest to me, then she would know about it first, and then we would be able to jump on it and get it before anybody else did. Supply and demand issues. Now, granted, this business isn't anywhere near where we live in Florida. It was a business that was in Swanee in Georgia, but nonetheless, the situation still is the same, and this is telling for a lot of businesses and a lot of employees. And a lot of the things that I had told you guys about and warned you about before, having direct communication with the company you work with or work for, it's really work for because you don't really work with them, work for, so that you can stay ahead of the problem. Now, this was shared on their Facebook page. I don't know the ins and outs of it all. I'm just going to read to you what was on their page and we'll talk about it in just a moment. But it says that, and I'm going to try to refrain from saying the business name. I don't want to do that. So it says that this new owner is a clown of an individual and a shady business owner. He has on multiple occasions failed to pay employees what they are owed and manually adjusted their work hours and wages in order to pay them less. Employees have had to notify management and have even had to argue with the owner on why they were owed extra. On two other instances, he didn't pay the entire staff, claiming he forgot to press the submit button. In all of my years working, I have never heard of this excuse and is unacceptable. Taking money out of employees' pockets to replenish inventory or pay his bills because he is consistently or constantly in the hole owing multiple banks is ridiculous. Another example to validate his odd behavior is yelling at the gas company representative for physically appearing at the store to notify him the gas will be shut off, to which he failed to pay the bill for. There seriously needs to be an investigation. If he tells you otherwise, he's lying. There's a lot more to say, but these are the major problems. I am no longer there due to his behaviors, and now he is giving my belongings away to employees, which they refuse to return. Now, this was on Facebook, and I don't know if you guys use Facebook a lot, but Facebook is not the place to air your grievances because the people in the comments will literally eat you alive, okay? We're going to address the elephant in the room in just a moment. But if this is actually true, then this is a sign that some business owners are struggling financially and potentially are unable to pay their bills. And ultimately, if they can't pay their bills, they can't pay their employees. The money is the same. There's no special reserve for money, kind of like that special reserve you got in your tummy after you eat. There we go. And the server comes by and says, "Did you save room for dessert?" And you're like, no. There's no special cavity for dessert. There's no special allotment for payroll typically in most businesses. If they're in dire straits, if they're in a liquidity crisis, if they're facing an insolvency nightmare themselves, then they are robbing Peter to pay Paul. And eventually the day is going to come where they're not going to be able to pay you. Now, it would be best for a business to be upfront with their employees about these situations because people rely on getting paid on time because a lot of folks are living paycheck to paycheck. So if you were to be upfront with them and say, "Hey guys, yeah, this week we're not going to be able to make payroll," they could at least try to make some sort of accommodations instead of waiting until Friday, waking up and not having a deposit in their account or check in their box at wherever they work. But you also run the risk of when you tell employees that they will just leave, which rightfully so. I mean, no one wants to work for someone who's not going to pay them, right? I mean, I'm sure these employees didn't volunteer to work here. But I will say that most of the employees that I've ever interacted have great attitudes. Like, it seems like a great environment. And here's where I'm a little confused, scratching my head, wondering why did this happen? Is this true? Or is this just some angry person trying to retaliate against the owner of this business by posting this on the business's Facebook page. Obviously, this person had access to the account, but if they no longer work there, I'm no longer there due to his behaviors. And why are you posting on their account? Why are you posting on their account? That is a huge red flag. That's the elephant that I need to address in this room. That is a huge red flag. And ultimately, what do you stand to gain from this? Just further destroying this company if, in fact, it is in trouble? This isn't going to get you paid. This could potentially land you in some legal hot water, really and truly, when you think about it. But if this is true, and if this is a company you work for and you happen to know who I'm talking about, or you're working for a company or a business that you feel as though may be in a similar boat or situation, or you are that company, that business owner, that manager, that CEO, that president with folks underneath you, times are tough. Money is tight. Prices are going up. This insanely high cost of living situation is not getting any better. And putting people in a position where they're ultimately going to be faced with working long hours, ultimately to receive what they expected, similar to the situation with the yellow freight drivers and potentially losing their pensions after some 30 years. That ain't right. That ain't right. And these conversations need to be had before things get out of hand. Maybe you might even have some employees that may even offer to help support you in this situation because they're a little bit better off financially than others, maybe. But I can guarantee you this: if you work employees and you treat them badly, you treat them poorly, and or you don't pay them, then ultimately the end result is going to be very, very bad. However, I think that this is happening more often than we actually hear about in instances like this. So if you know of a situation, feel free to comment down below. But with the direction that our economy is going, the direction that a lot of these different market sectors are going, the direction that the world is going for, really, if you want to really get down to it, this is not on a micro level. This is on a macro level. It's on a global level. Theoretically, odds are 99% of people are probably going to experience some form of interruption to their income and their pay, a reduction, cancellation, it being wiped out, a strike, whatever it may be. We need to be prepared for that before that happens. Please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. You guys take care, be safe. I'll see you real soon.